May Allah bless and keep you safe, keep you safe. May Allah bless and keep you safe.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, we once again welcome you in our silsila Secrets of Health. Today's topic is a very interesting topic, and I'll disclose that. I hope every viewer would agree with me that they would want to know about this topic, inshallah. But before I tell you, let's make few good intentions. Because it's a saying of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Niyatul mu'mini khayrun min amalihi. Intention of a believer is better than his actions. Imam Bukhari alayhi rahmatur rahman has brought a beautiful hadith, which is the very first hadith in his Bukhari, and part of that hadith is Innamal a'malu bin niyyat. Today, viewers of Madani Channel, that means actions are based upon intentions. Intentions play a vital role in our day-to-day religious life. And remember, if one doesn't make any intention, then he is not rewarded for that particular task or particular good deed. And the more intentions one makes, the higher the reward he attains. It means you can multiply your reward by adding as many as good intentions possible. I make this intention that inshallah I'll present this program for the pleasure of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And you can make this intention. You will be with us from start till end. You'll remember what you learn, act upon, and pass this knowledge on to others too, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Respected viewers of Madani Channel, once again we have got our respectable and honorable guest, Dr. Khurram Nithar, who is also a consultant and practicing in one of the UK's university hospitals. So we'll go to him and talk about today's topic, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing? You okay?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah, thank you very much once again to coming to this program. And today's topic is very interesting, right? And I think that MashaAllah it will be very fascinating to all the viewers of Madani Channel, to all groups of age, and at the same time to all genders too. So the topic is aging. Nobody wants to become old, and nobody wants to die, actually, to be honest with you. Nobody means the majority of us, but definitely those they are pious people, and those they are closer to Allah, death is a blessing for them, and they wait for that because they have got an understanding of meeting to their beloved. But that is a separate concept. But in general, we are talking about that most of us, we want to live long, and we want to have a healthy lifestyle for a very longer time. So Dr. Aging, this is a very interesting concept. People are trying to restrict the signs of aging, and they are using so much of cosmetics, and so much of surgeries are involved in it, and so much money is being spent on reducing the signs of aging. But end of the day, you see, it is something which cannot be controlled. What is aging?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So as you said, the aging, if we define very simply, then this is the process of getting old.
Yeah, in medical terms.
Exactly. So that would be, so that's really the process of aging. However, as you said, in the context you have mentioned, that's absolutely right. That, the moment we talk about aging, nowadays, no one wants to age. And some people who do perhaps, half-heartedly accept the aging process, they would say, I would like to age gracefully, whatever that means. And then it reminds me of Amir Ahl Sunnah Damat Barakatumul Aliyah, and how so once, I think Madani Muzakra, I heard him say that, nowadays, even if someone who looks old, you use a respectful word and say to them, something, and I guess in Urdu, a respectful word, but that refers to their age, and they get unhappy. So that's they don't. So no, even an old person doesn't want to be called old. Everyone wants to stay young forever, and so that's why I think So as you said, so obviously cosmetics is one way, so the aesthetics. But if we go behind, it seems the intention for that a lot of times is vanity. We are doing all of that, it is multi-million pound business in the UK, in the Western world, and for what? Really just to improve our appearance. So we are trying to, in a sense, mask the process of aging, which actually is not just happening externally, it's happening internally as well, which is where the focus of my discussion would be. But we're using all those signs externally to try and somehow, I guess, make others think that we are not as old as we actually are. So there are some very interesting statistics here as well. So we do know that over the last 50 years or so, the average life expectancy has increased. So in the UK, for example, for men, it is 83 years, and for women, it is 87 years. And we have extremes of over 90 years average life expectancy in countries like Japan, for example, or Scandinavia. And then if we look at countries in Africa or Asia, the average age expectancy is around 50 to 55 years. So there is a huge difference. And there has been a lot of research looking into why there are so many differences in aging. So some of that, of course, are related to the social and environmental factors, political factors, diets, of course. But there are some other things which are not so obvious. For example, even in the UK, we know that there is that degree of health inequality that even between a difference of half a mile, so 2 or 3 streets down, there could be a difference of up to 18 years of average life expectancy. Staying in the same city, in only 2 or 3 streets different, and that could be the difference in aging. So there is something more which is happening in this area. But the interesting facts are that every child who is born today will, on average, live 5 years longer than the child born yesterday.
Every day.
Every day. So it is increasing. And so this is the studies which have been done from Institute of Aging in Birmingham, which is the biggest center in the UK. And we also know that though we are living longer, but unfortunately we are living unhealthier. So there has been a lot of discussion, especially in NHS, about multi-morbidity. That yes, we are living, as I said, 83, 87 years of age, but we are not living healthily to that age. So on average, people would have 2 or 3 chronic conditions: hypertension, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, and heart disease, so the number of things. So we're living with a lot of comorbidity or disease burden. So really, going back to my earlier comment, that if we want to age gracefully, the way to that would be to have without illnesses, without diseases. And I guess that's where the interesting discussion is, that would I rather live longer but with all these conditions, or live shorter life but actually lead a healthy life? And I guess that in itself is a huge topic. But the interesting thing about the whole concept of aging is that we know that, especially with increasing life expectancies and with multi-morbidity burden and everything else, despite that, our desire and will to live longer hasn't really faded at all. And that seems to go right back to even the early history of humanity. Everyone seems to have had, have thought about living that long life. And I guess the question there is that if we are living longer, what is the actual intention behind that? So if the intention is that this will give me an opportunity to
for more good deeds,
or to have an opportunity to repent from the sins I might have committed, then of course this is ahsan, this is good. But if the purpose of this is really just to, enjoyment and fulfillment and lead a fuller life and, whatever that might mean, we are in competition to have the bigger house in the street. I want to live in a mansion. I want to have a detached palace and a big car. So we have all these desires. And the question really is that what is all that for? And I think if it was with the right intention, then of course aging, it might happen gracefully.
As you're talking about gracefully, it reminds me something interesting. Nowadays, if somebody is said as uncle or auntie, and suddenly they become angry. See, they don't feel good that, am I grown too old that somebody is calling me uncle and auntie? So we don't realize the fact that yes, we are growing to age, and the aging factor is there. And I think nowadays what should be the word used, instead of how old are you, we should say how young are you. I think the people would like that in a better way. I think let's put it this way. Anyway, let's come to our topic. Doctor, we are talking about aging, and what about fasting? Is there any sort of relationship between this? So you have picked this topic in...
Exactly. So the beauty of this topic, and that's exactly why I wanted to pick, is that this is the beauty that all the answers have been given by Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, in the form of pillars of Islam, in the form of all these worship which we have been encouraged, we've been asked to do, and they're not without their benefits. So during my reading, I was surprised to see back in 1934 there was evidence from rat studies that those who were fasted, so basically there were calorie restriction for those particular rats, that's going by nearly 70-80 years, they had less signs of aging compared to those who did not have calorie restriction. So here is the first solution, that if we really want to age gracefully, then we need to reduce our calorie intake. We have known that for 70 or 80 years. And and we still continue to fill ourselves with whatever comes our way. And then we say, I've now got 3 conditions, 4 health problems, all of this. And how am I going to age in a healthy way? The solution has always been there. So, but how fasting actually helps with this process of aging. So there are 2 or 3 key things to understand here. So one is this concept of immune senescence. So senescence is really the process of aging. So when we age, as I said, it's not just external aging, but actually internally we're aging as well. And one of that is our immune systems. So we know, for example, that as we grow old, our ability to fight off infections is not as good as for the young people. So at the extremes of age, be it children or older people, they're at higher risk of catching infections. Why is that? Because their immune system has aged. So it is not able to fight off those infections. So what happens with fasting is that it will, there is particularly in this context, we discussed this topic of autophagy, which is the cells trimming and the reparation of cells and the repair of the cells which happens. So with aging, usually there is less autophagy, so that's why there is accumulation of bad cells. And there is also one particular protein which is involved in the whole cell cycle, in the cell aging and the cell the sequestration of those cells, and that is something called mTOR, which is basically mammalian target of rapamycin. So it's a short for that, but it's basically a protein which is involved in all the cell cycle. So we know that with aging, that protein is upregulated, so it's overexpressed, and the cells are not being repaired. So there is a lot of evidence now that with fasting, even brief periods of fasting, it completely reverses that. So the mTOR, this particular protein, it downregulates, and the autophagy that increases. So automatically fasting starts to get rid of the burden of these bad cells and get them in the nice spick and span shape so that they can work towards keeping us healthy.
Not what you have discussed so far, that's a general aging. Is there any sort of evidence of the fasting which helps for aging of a particular organ?
So we talked a lot about insulin resistance. So in type 2 diabetes, we mentioned that there was insulin, but the body was rejecting that insulin resistance. So we know that with fasting, the insulin resistance improves, and that also would help with delaying the aging process. Another thing which is quite important, which
sorry to cut you, delaying the aging process. What do you mean by that?
So that means that all the signs of senescence, which I mentioned, so the immune system giving up our internal organs, they are not able, for kidneys are not able to function as effectively. So we start to get mild chronic kidney disease. The heart is not functioning.
Meaning a person will have a longer life to live. That's what you mean.
That's right, exactly, absolutely. So, and the third thing is that another important concept, which again we have learned a lot more in the last 10 to 15 years, is the concept of free radical injury. So we know that as part of the metabolism, especially in the cellular level, one of the things which is created as a byproduct or as a toxin or a poison is what we call reactive oxygen species. So that it will cause permanent damage to cells, and that damage is called free radical injury. So this is the current understanding is that free radical injury has a role to play in ischemic heart disease as well. So all this damage which happens to the coronaries through inflammation, that's partly happening through this free radical injury. So again, a lot of evidence that with fasting, free radical injury is reduced dramatically. So that itself will then have a positive effect on the whole aging process. And the other bit which we also know is there is another protein which is called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. So that protein is usually in aging, it is upregulated, so it's overexpressed. By fasting, it is downregulated. So this is where all the general issues happen about the muscle and the bone health, where this enzyme this protein is particularly involved. So by reducing the levels of that, we're actually again continuing to keep better muscle health, better bone health, better general health. And that's where you asked me the question about the specific organ. So there was a very interesting study which happened looking at the muscle aging. Right. So again, we think that, we've kept fast, especially this very long fast, and as Ramadan is in summer, the days are long, and we wouldn't be able to function that well. So these are the sort of, I guess, lame excuses Shaitan might instill in someone's heart, and they might go down the route of missing their fast. So there was this particular study which happened where they had a group of athletes, so otherwise fit people, group of athletes, and they asked them for 20 hours fast. So I guess similar to the fast which we would
nowadays we're observing.
So 20 hours fast, 4 days a week, only did for a month. So we are doing 7 days a week for a month. They're doing 4 days a week, 20 hours a day. And just by fasting in these athletes for a month, they noticed that there was a significant difference in the upper and lower body endurance of these muscle groups just by fasting for that month. So, so as I said, so there's so many examples at molecular level, at cellular level, at levels which are beyond just the internal organs, and especially in muscles. That's where the aging certainly is delayed, or this concept of achieving a healthy aging by keeping fast.
Very good. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, Dr. Khurram, he has used a word delaying the aging. He has used the word healthy lifestyle living. Yes, definitely. If you want to live a healthy lifestyle, if you want to have your longer life expectancy rates, definitely you can adopt fasting, and inshallah it will help you to live a healthy lifestyle. And as we've been discussing about aging, but one factor you need to understand, our breaths, they have been counted. We have to die one day, no matter how long we live, 90 years or maybe 100 years plus, but a time will come which will be end of our life. We have to die. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. The Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, we have to taste the death. We have to go into our dark grave, end of the day, no matter how long we live. Nowadays we think we will not die. Nowadays we have forgotten our death. We have forgotten the reality. You see, death is the universal reality which no one has ever denied. People, they have denied Allah. People, they have denied prophets. People, they have denied books. People, they have denied religions. People, they have denied so much so, but no one has ever denied the reality of death. So one day we all have to go. The Islamic brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, we need to prepare for our hereafter. We need to think for the grave. We need to think that we have to go and we have to be presentable and held accountable before Allah wa ta'ala. How much preparation we have done. So that means the death has to come sooner or later. You see, this is the surety. This is a reality. We cannot escape. So dear viewers of Madani Channel, please try to fast in Ramadan. If you Hajj is fard upon you, do go to Hajj. Zakat is fard upon you, do give zakah. Offer 5 times daily prayers and try to become practical Muslims. And this is one of the essence of Ramadan and Kareem. Alhamdulillah, this is what we understand from the essence of spiritual side of Ramadan's benefits, and we have been talking about the health benefits. Doctor, I would like to just ask you the final concluding remarks and anything you would like to add in this, because we've got a time restriction. So please elaborate further what you would like to share with viewers of Madani Channel, and probably it could be our last episode of this series, but inshallah we'll be coming back with another beautiful programs like this one. And what message at the end of this program you would like to give?
So I think related to this, one of the things which people would consider as prematurely cutting the life, which obviously is against our belief. We know, as we've discussed, that everyone has to go on this set time. But obviously in medical terms, we look at premature mortality. One of the factors for that is cancer. So this is that word nobody wants to hear. And the beauty of fasting is that there is also evidence against the cancer and its effects. So there have been studies which have looked at that fasting blocks tumor production. So actually those tumors which can generate as part of cancer, so they're blocked by fasting. It also delays the growth of tumors. So even if the tumors are there, it delays their growth. And the other thing which was quite interesting is that chemotherapy, which people who may have been through cancer, they really dread that because it carries so many side effects and all of that. Interestingly, there were studies which looked at fasting improved the effectiveness of chemotherapy. So again, so something which can reduce the life expectancy for someone, the cancer which everyone is worried about, Allah wa ta'ala is giving us solutions through fasting. That if we do that regularly, then who knows, by Allah wa ta'ala's grace, one may actually be able to abstain from all the things which Allah wa ta'ala has ordered us to abstain from during the fast of Ramadan. And by the grace of that, Allah wa ta'ala keeps us prevented from development of cancer. So this is all down to Allah wa ta'ala's will. So I think that is all is quite important. But I think, as we discussed right in the first program, having listened to all of these episodes and the impact of fast and the health benefits related to that, what we need to remember is that on the end of the day, we're doing it because this is submission to Allah Ta'ala's will. All other benefits would come as a byproduct related to this ultimate sincere intention, and that is to please Allah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Dear viewers of Madani Channel, That's all for today, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Keep watching Madani Channel, keep reciting Salat upon Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May Allah bless and keep you safe. Keep you safe. May Allah bless and keep you safe.